Every night my Halloween candy vanished, so I stopped being the nice roommate and became the trick he never saw coming. Hey, I'm Drew, the guy who used to believe revenge was childish. That was before I learned it can taste just as sweet as the candy he stole. I moved into the apartment on Elm Street 3 weeks before Halloween. It wasn't haunted, not in the ghost story way, but something about that place felt restless at night. The kind of hum you only notice when the lights go out and the world gets quiet enough to hear your own heartbeat. My roommate, Ryan, was the opposite of quiet, always playing loud music, hosting surprise hangouts or laughing way too hard at his own jokes. He filled the place with noise, chaos, and a kind of energy that always clashed with mine. At first, I told myself I could deal with it. After all, rent was cheap, the location was great, and Ryan seemed decent enough, until the candy started disappearing. Halloween has always been my favorite time of year. Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's the sugar, or probably both. So I'd filled this huge orange bowl with candy bars, Snickers, Reese's, Milky Ways, the premium stuff. I told myself I'd pace it out through October, but by the third night, the candy level had dropped. At first, I thought maybe I was sleep snacking. Midnight study sessions could blur together like that, so I refilled the bowl and took a photo of it before going to bed. The next morning, the difference was obvious. Half the candy was gone again, and the photo didn't lie. Someone was stealing it. There were only 2 of us living there. Ryan swore he didn't even like candy, said he was on a health streak, but the empty wrappers in the trash and faint chocolate stains on the counter told another story. Still, I didn't say anything. You don't call out a thief without proof. That Friday, Ryan threw one of his typical parties, the kind where everyone shows up half in costume, half drunk, and spills cheap beer on everything. I tolerated it, smiled, helped clean up when it was over. Then, when I went for a single candy bar as a small reward for my patience, the bowl was empty. Completely empty. I stood in the kitchen, surrounded by red cups and sticky floors, staring at that hollow orange bowl. It wasn't about candy anymore, it was about respect. So I decided to set a trap. I started simple emotion sensor I'd once used for my smart lights. I linked it to my phone so it would ping me if anyone entered the kitchen between midnight and 6. I refilled the candy bowl. Identical setup, and waited. That night, I lay in bed scrolling my phone, pretending to relax. At 1:17 a.m., the notification buzzed. He was in the kitchen. I slipped out of bed, careful not to creak the floorboards. The only light came from the glow of the street lamp bleeding through the blinds. As I rounded the corner, I saw him, Ryan, standing shirtless in front of the bowl, hand deep in the pile of candy. He looked around nervously, then started shoving candy into his pockets. He even unwrapped one and ate it right there. I should have felt angry, but honestly, I was amused, the sheer boldness of it. I didn't say a word that night, just watched quietly, unseen. The next morning I played dumb, made coffee, chatted about nothing. He looked tired, guilty, maybe a little nervous. That's when I knew a simple confrontation wouldn't do. I needed something better. The next day, I started planning. I melted some chocolate and mixed it with ghost pepper extract I'd bought online for a prank months ago. It was pure heat, the kind that didn't burn right away, but built slowly until it felt like your throat was on fire. I unwrapped a few fun-size bars, replaced the chocolate inside, sealed them again, and arranged them right on top of the bowl. That night, I set the candy out again. I even left my bedroom door open just a crack. At 1 a.m., my phone buzzed. I smiled. From the hallway, I could hear the faint rustle of candy wrappers. Then a pause. Then, coughing. More coughing. A desperate sound. I peeked out. Ryan was hunched over the sink, chugging milk straight from the carton, eyes red and streaming. I waited a few seconds, just long enough for the heat to truly kick in. "Midnight snack?" I asked. He jumped, milk splattering everywhere. "What the hell did you do, man?" he shouted, voice raw. "Oh, that?" I said calmly. "Just a little Halloween surprise. Maybe next time don't steal my candy. You could have poisoned me," he yelled, gasping. "Relax, it's ghost pepper. You'll live." He glared at me, half coughing, half fuming, before storming off to his room. For 2 days, he didn't talk to me. Fine by me. I thought the message had landed. But Halloween night had other plans. Halloween night started. Quietly. Ryan said he was going out with friends. I was fine with. That I planned to stay in, hand out candy, and finally relax. Around 7, I lit a pumpkin spice candle, turned on a horror movie, and settled in with my laptop. The air outside had that crisp, burnt leaf smell that always made me feel 10 years old again. Then came the knock. Trick or treat. A small crowd of kids stood there in costumes. Ghosts. Superheroes, one kid in a cardboard robot suit. I laughed, handed out candy from the safe bowl I'd bought for guests, and wished them a happy Halloween. When the door closed, the apartment felt calm again, until I noticed something missing. The bowl on the counter, the one with the ghost pepper candy I'd left as a decoy, was gone. At first, I thought maybe I'd moved it. Then I heard voices from Ryan's room. Music. Laughter. He hadn't gone out at all. He'd brought the party here, and he'd taken the candy. I stood in the hallway, listening. A girl's voice said, "This stuff's good, dude. You didn't tell me you had the fancy kind." Then another voice, laughing, until it turned into coughing. Someone gagged. Another screamed. I didn't even have to look. I already knew. I walked to his door, leaned against the frame, and waited. Inside, chaos. Ryan's friends were clutching their mouths, faces red, eyes watering. One guy had dumped half a soda over his tongue. Another was begging for ice. Ryan looked horrified, caught in the middle, yelling that he didn't know what happened. When he saw me standing there, he froze. "Drew, what did you do?" I raised an eyebrow. "Me? You're the one handing out my candy." "You set me up," he barked. "Did I? Or did you just steal from me twice?" He opened his mouth to argue, but one of his friends interrupted with another round of coughing. I handed the poor guy a bottle of water and said, "Sorry, man. Guess the trick came before the treat." They left soon after, half angry, half embarrassed, leaving the place looking like a tornado had passed through. Chips crushed into the carpet, soda pooling near the speakers, candy wrappers everywhere. Ryan just stood there in the mess, breathing hard. "You think this is funny?" he asked. I met his eyes. "Honestly?" "Yeah, a little." He shook his head, grabbed his jacket, and slammed the door behind him. 2 weeks later, he moved out. No warning. No goodbye, just vanished. Left his spare key on the counter and a sticky note on the fridge that read, "You're insane." I taped it there like a trophy. The apartment was finally quiet again. No more late-night parties, no more missing food or disappearing candy, just peace, and the faint, lingering scent of pumpkin spice. A month later, though, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hey, is this Drew?" A voice asked. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Tyler. I'm Ryan's new roommate." That caught my attention. "Oh, what's up?" He hesitated. "So, there's this bowl of candy here. Ryan said it was yours, that it's fine, but one of my friends tried some and said it was like insanely spicy. Did you leave something behind?" I couldn't stop myself. I started laughing. It came out uncontrollable, deep and real. Tyler went silent. When I caught my breath, I said, "Yeah, you might want to toss that bowl. It's kind of cursed." He muttered something about weirdos and hung up. I leaned back in my chair, staring at my new candy bowl, just half full this time, enough to remind me that Halloween is never really over if you play it right. Sometimes, when the wind howls down the alley and the streetlight flickers through the blinds, I think about Ryan. I picture him somewhere new, checking every candy wrapper twice before eating it. Maybe he learned something about respect, maybe he didn't. Either way, he won't forget that Halloween because sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's not fire or fury. It's sweet. Sometimes payback doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be clever. Thanks for watching, and remember, every trick deserves its treat.